What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one we'll be breaking down what's going on with Tesla SPY and the QQQ. I'm going to talk about the news that just came out, why OPEX is going to be very interesting, and what the option chain tells us about SPY and how this may dictate the markets. And before I break anything down about all this information that's coming out, what data is dropping at about 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, what you should be watching for on the charts, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon. Put in $100 and you're guaranteed 5 free stocks with a $100 cash reward. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. What on earth is going on? In the morning, we had a Fed speakers day known as Waller, and I'm going to read some of their quotes. They said that the monetary policy should not be altered due to ineffective management at a few banks. They said it's unclear if the bank turmoil intensifies and we see a tightening of credit conditions. They also mentioned that policy should not change much for a while because of the banks, and there's a risk for them. And they said that inflation is high, but they're basically saying that the Fed needs to be very careful with raising more rates or not. That's basically what Waller said in a nutshell. But now we have even more data coming out. Let me just remind you guys that at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report, the Michigan Inflationary Expectations Report, followed by the Consumer Expectations Report and the 5-year inflationary expectations. All of this data is going to affect the market, at least to some degree. We might see the market react to it. If the data is decent, if we get like very, very positive consumer sentiment reports, if inflation is, the expectations are still low, market may continue to push up after the data comes out. But if it's too hot, if it's too high and the market is concerned about it, market could also cool off. So watch for a big move at 10 o'clock a.m. today. And besides that, I just wanted to add that we have a lot of options expirations. Now, if I were a market maker and I was looking at this options chain, if you look at the open interest on SPY, specifically around that, let me see it right here. We have 73,000 open interest for the 440 strike. There's a high probability the market makers may try to get an end of the day sell off and try to push us below 440 for the close. Now, is it a guarantee? No, not a guarantee. If the market trades sideways, there's a high probability that could happen today. But if the market starts cooling off, either like in the middle of the day or if we start selling off a bit, watch support at that 440 area. If it starts breaking down below 440 and breaks below like 437.5 or something like that, if it starts breaking down, the next very important level to watch for the close is going to be that 435 area, because on the puts we have very high open interest right there, which could bring interest for the market makers, closing us very close to that. Okay, so those are the two particular closes that are very important. Not a guarantee, of course, because the market could always squeeze and do all those things, but I just wanted to note them. As for Tesla, some news came out that Tesla has installed over 500,000 power walls. Once again, great news for Tesla, continuing to grow. The EV network is once again the EV charging network combined is not going to compete with Tesla, because Tesla's a giant in that space and it's still doing very well. And finally, last but not least, Tesla may have accidentally created a $5 billion EV charging business. I wouldn't say it was an accident. I think that this is no coincidence. Tesla knew this the whole time, and they're doing a fantastic job going forward. So most of the headlines coming out have been positive about Tesla that I'm seeing so far, and it's a good sign for the stock price moving forward. But first, we have to break down these levels. So as for SPY, if it wants to break up, watch some resistance around this 442 zone. We're very close to it for now. If it continues to break to the upside, watch resistance at 443.75 to 444. If it breaks that, watch 445. Now, if it holds above 445 for an extended period of time, there's a good chance that this thing will eventually try to make its way up closer to this like 450 area, because resistance is not as tight until 450. So watch those levels carefully on the upside. If we break down, watch support. Once again, 442 is going to act as support as well if we do try to break like close to it. If that fails, watch 440 as the next major level. And if that fails, watch 438.34 or the 50 EMA. And then if that fails, we have the 436 zone, the 436.6 or the 436.25 area as major support. Now, just as a reminder, I don't know how the market's going to open, whether we get a push up or not, but if we get a sell-off at the end of the day because of the long weekend, it's very possible, and the market makers may try to do that. It's just a possibility, not a guarantee, because the 0-day to expirations could always cause a squeeze, but it's just worth noting as a big, strong possibility. As for Tesla, Tesla has two interesting formations. The first thing is we have this imbalance down here at this 247 area. So this is going to be an area of interest for the price in the future. But at the same time, you could argue this is inverse head and shoulders like formation. But if that does play out, we need to see Tesla break and hold 260. And that's going to be your trigger for it. So basically, if you look at these levels on Tesla, okay, Tesla has resistance right now. It's currently at about 257.75, so very close to that 258 resistance zone. If Tesla manages to break above it, we're going to be watching 260 carefully on Tesla. If Tesla could break and hold 260, there's a chance this inverse head and shoulders will play out, and we can see Tesla try to push all the way up to 264 temporarily, but it needs to hold 260, which is major resistance. Now, if the opposite happens and this ends up just being a fake out and they're trying to trap a lot of people, you're going to be watching first off this area of interest, which is very close to this 252.5 area. If Tesla ends up breaking down below 255, which is going to be the next very strong support before 257.75. If that happens, watch the 50 EMA, which is where we have 254.5. And then if that fails, there's 252.5 followed by 250. Now, we have this imbalance down here. So if Tesla does break below 250 today, watch this imbalance zone. We have 247 as support. And if that fails on us, okay, we have to try to hold above 240 at the very least, 244.5 and then 240, because there's also that gap way down below in the 235 area, just to keep in mind. So these are some important levels on Tesla. For now, the stock is holding up. And at the time I'm recording this in the pre-market, there's no major sign of weakness. Tesla's still holding up nicely. There's not much going on. We don't have an official 4-hour bullish cross on the PPO yet, so it's still just trading sideways. Like I told you guys yesterday, just lots of boring sideways price action on Tesla. It may continue on this trend, so just watch support and resistance at the 50 EMA, and then resistance very close to that 258 to 260 area. But if it gets clean breaks in either direction in the levels I named, we could see a bigger move. Expect Tesla to likely not trade that crazily until after 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. When the data drops, that's when Tesla may make a lot more bigger moves. Finally, last but not least, we're going to talk about the QQQ. This thing is holding up very nicely. It's pushing well above 371 right now, and it's trying to break to a new high of 372. If it breaks this 372 to 372.5 resistance, it could make its way closer to 375. If it breaks the downside, watch 370 as support. And if that fails us, there's 368, 366, and 365 as other supports. Now, right now for the QQQ, I'm in the middle. It's just going back and forth after it pushed up to these levels, but there's no sign of weakness. That's the bottom line. As of right now, there's no sign of weakness. The market makers, however, may try to push this thing down closer to this like 366 level based off the options chain. I want to make this video short, so I'm not going to break down every detail about the options chain, but they are incentivized to try to push this down just a little bit. Now, is it a guarantee? Not really, because it depends on if the market starts squeezing because of the 0-day to expiration options and we see an increase in volatility. So that's why you have to watch these levels very, very carefully. Watch and see if it holds 370. If it starts downtrending hard, there's a good chance the market makers will try to target this thing to get closer into the mid 360s. If this thing continues to hold up above 370 and tries pushing up higher, there's a chance it could try to make its way to break this resistance in the 372s and make its way a lot higher. I'm still in the middle with this, so we're going to have to wait and see how it goes. And don't forget that we're going to see a bigger move by 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. All right. So with that said, thank you for listening. There is an increased probability that the market may sell off at the end of the day because of the long weekend and also because of market makers, but it's not a guarantee. So I just want to warn you about that. And besides that, we'll just watch this on a level-to-level basis and do our best DD to be patient, calm, cool, and collected, and ready for the weekend. Thank you for listening. It's a long weekend, by the way. There's no trading on Monday because of Juneteenth. I want the best for everyone, so do what you have to do. We may see some profit taking at the end of the day, but once again, just be patient and watch your levels. Thank you. Enjoy the trading day. Get ready, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one very, very soon. Tesla to the moon as the long term is still very bright, and peace out.